Hey guys, so welcome to this little video all about self-love, self-worth, unconditional love for self. So the first thing that you're going to need is an understanding of your human design or your human design chart. Only very basic. If this is the first time you've heard of human design, that's totally fine. This workshop, this mini masterclass will still work for you. Just come back to this when you've got your chart. So you can download your chart for free online. I think it's called Jovian Archive. But if you just Google free human design chart, you can put your details in and you can get your human design chart. And so what we're going to look at is why you need to learn to love yourself first. Like why is it said that we should love ourselves first? And why unconditional love is worth it, why it's beneficial to learn to do that, and why many of us, we're going to explore why many of us find it very hard. We struggle to feel enough and to have a strong, healthy self-worth. And so it's probably something that you are aware of. You wouldn't be watching this video otherwise. So we're going to explore that, and then I'm going to give you some of my best top tips to be able to heal and grow and start to really love yourself, and to change all those stories and those baggage that have you feeling worthless and not enough, that's getting in the way of maybe your relationships, maybe you showing up in your business, etc. So on your human design chart, you will see, if this is the first time you've got it, I'm going to go through it so it's super simple. If you've heard of human design, then I apologize for the simplicity of this. You might already know this, but we're going to focus on the heart center, or it's sometimes called the will or the ego center. So on your chart, you'll have two triangles and then a diamond. The will center is the small triangle next to the diamond, okay? And chances are, if you really struggle with self-worth and not feeling good enough and not feeling lovable at times, then yours will be white rather than colored in. So basically what this means is that you are absorbing and amplifying the will, the ego, and the sense of self-worth of everybody around you. And what happens is, when we have an open center like this, it often just doesn't absorb and amplify it. It gets really distorted. And so what this means is that as you've been growing up, you've been heavily conditioned around your self-worth. And it's a good thing to know, because it's not really your fault. Everybody gets conditioned, but it means that we can then, you can start this deconditioning process. And when you do, you'll have a really healthy center here and wisdom for other people as well. So the reason, or the benefits, I guess, for learning to love yourself and love yourself unconditionally is it is the process of deconditioning. So we all get conditioned when we, just by our environment, even now, even not just when you're younger, but heavily when you're younger. And the process of deconditioning allows you to let go of the stories and the baggage and the insecurities, and really start to know your true self, who you are and what's correct for you. And for me, human design is all about that. And I think there's lots of healing and coaching modalities, that I would use to help people. And then human design is like the last piece of the puzzle, if you like, that helps you really see clearly your energy and how it works. And it shows us that we are all completely unique, and that you have your own answers and your own guidance system that is going to bring about what's correct for you. You're here to be abundant and successful and satisfied and in your joy, and to serve and to be an integral and important part of the earth, of the universe, and of your community. So human design helps show how you best fit into that. And so it also helps you know your true self and your uniqueness, which is what I just said. So here's what happens, or what you might be experiencing a little bit, when you don't have a healthy sense of love for yourself, when you've kind of maybe new on this journey and you've not really being able to do the deep work, or maybe had the tools, you've not been able to have the tools to do the deep inner work that's required for you to be able to really deeply embrace and experience that love for yourself. So what happens when you're in this place is you generally might feel not enough in many situations. You might be trying to prove yourself. At times you might feel really worthless or unlovable, and you probably have some experiences where you felt really unlovable as a result of something that was going on in your environment. So people who have an undefined or open will center generally do have a lot of wounding around this self-worth area. And for me, I actually have a completely open will, which means that there's no colored numbers on the will. It's just all white, whereas yours might be white with some numbers on it. That's just showing you the gates or the theme, if you like, of that center. When it's completely open, it's even more distorted and even more intense. So I have a lot to share on this and a lot of experience, and I think when you can really decondition this center and change those stories and decondition and know your worth more, it's really life-changing. So what happens when we are in our not self or unhealthy in this area is we end up with a lot of reactive behavior, which isn't necessarily true to who you are. You might fight, you might want to hide, and that affects your relationships, and it affects how you show up for yourself and for your business and, you know, what you're doing. You might have wounding from experiences like rejection, experiences of not feeling loved, valued. You might be quite fearful. You might be experiencing some anxiety. I know that I had, relationship anxiety. And you might also find that you've got a very loud inner critic or loud monkey on your shoulder. Your mind in the negative might be very harsh on you. And those are sort of the things that you might experience with this open center, or it might be defined, but you might not be necessarily healthy in your defined center, in which case you would experience similarities as well. And for me in particular, there was a lot of wounding that showed up for me in relationships. So in my past, I probably got into relationships fairly easily, but they also ended fairly quickly. And I had several experiences of rejection where my partner seemingly out of the blue would just say, "I don't love you anymore," or "I don't want to be with you," or just ghost me. That happened a couple of times. You know, you start seeing someone, maybe it wasn't even a relationship, and then they just disappear. And all these experiences, especially with my open center, I absorbed and amplified. And that led to a lot of self-doubt, a lot of feelings of worthlessness. And I also had some experiences in childhood as well, which would have contributed to this, and a lot of wounding. So I've done a lot of work in this area and really had to heal a lot of those patterns in a deep way so that I could embrace this healthy love for myself and create healthy relationships and healthy experiences for myself, and real wonderful life for myself, I guess, because it can get in the way with a lot of things. And so I got to a point where I was so terrified. I had anxiety so bad as soon as I got into a relationship, and I felt like I was sabotaging the relationship, and that it was my fault and there must be something wrong with me. And so I started seeking to get help. I didn't want to make that pattern anymore. I wanted to feel loved, and I wanted to feel valued, and I wanted a healthy relationship. And so I started looking for answers and working on myself. And I have to say that it's taken some time, and I didn't have an obvious place to start, but I was seeking to feel better. And over time, I've got to a place where this center is more healthy than not. But I still have to say that learning human design has been super helpful, because it has helped me be more aware of this center and of how my energy will be and how I might be affected by other people. So now when I look back at those past relationships and that deep pain I would feel, I was actually absorbing and amplifying the lack of self-worth or whatever was going on for my ex. And it would be then amplified and distorted within me, which made me let me feel it was more about me, when actually if you ever do any work with me, and I'll share this with you now, however anybody behaves around you or even towards you is nothing to do with you and everything to do with them, their conditioning, their experiences, their baggage, their centers and their human design. And it's just interacting with your energy, and they might have been projecting onto you. They might feel triggered. They might need to feel like they've got reactive behaviors to protect themselves. And we think it's about us when actually it's about what's going on for them. So through all that, I was able to heal this. And like I said, it still pops up, and the awareness of human design is super helpful because I can catch myself where I feel the need to prove my worth. This shows up in my business a lot, for example, or occasionally in my relationship. And then I can go, oh no, I actually have nothing to prove. I am enough, and I can just let that move through me because I'm just absorbing and amplifying from others. So it's helpful to know. So let's move on now. I want to give you guys some tips and some tools to really help with this area. So obviously, step one, if you haven't heard of human design and this is the first time you've heard of it, you're probably like, what on earth is she talking about? So grab your free chart, and if you want to reach out, we can have a chat and we can go through it, and I can help you understand it and what that means for you and how to start living it. The biggest tool I can give, and I know this is annoying from a free video, but to invest in yourself so that you can find help doing the deep inner work. Because honestly, in my experience, I don't mind whether that's with me or with anybody, just make sure it's somebody that you feel drawn to. If you know your human design, make sure you follow your inner authority as to who is going to be the best person to work with, but importantly that you must feel drawn to them. It must seem right for you. Otherwise, I know from personal experience, spent a lot of money with maybe coaches and mentors and that weren't correct for me and taught me a lot of things that maybe weren't helpful. So it has to be someone, particularly for the deep work, because this is where, the first couple of years of my journey, I spent a lot of money, like I said, but a lot of the things that I did were too surface level. So it didn't have a whole lot of change because it needs to be deep. So somebody that you feel safe and drawn to their energy so that you can do some deep work. And that will be the first powerful step to really deconditioning the center, but deconditioning on a whole, getting rid of those old stories and those baggage and insecurities and all that crap that covers up our true potential, our true beauty. And so you can really start to know who you are, because it is phenomenal and transformational and just amazing. And if you get nothing else from this video, get that, because it honestly, it fills my heart up just thinking about how important and how amazing and transformational it can be when you go within and you do that work. The next thing is self-care. So this has a whole load of meanings and can mean loads of different things. I want you to take from it what feels right for you, but caring for yourself and meeting your own emotional needs and your own needs as much as you can means that we therefore don't attach to other people and look to others to meet our needs when they can't all the time, and when they don't, then we feel worse. Or like there's something wrong with us and not enough, etc. And it just perpetuates that cycle. So self-care is investing yourself doing the deep work, like I just said, but also it might just be taking a little bit of time out to do things that light you up, having a relaxing candlelit bath, doing something creative, just going to have a coffee and spend time with someone, have a lovely conversation with someone who you enjoy being around. It might be taking care of your body physically through food that feels good, through exercise that feels good. And actually I'm running a retreat soon about this, a self-care mindset retreat, and there's lots of juicy things in there to try and explore to help you self-care and connect to you, and know what self-care practices feel good and right for you, because that's it. We don't all have this one program fits all mentality. It's just not. And if you know about human design, you know that that's not true or helpful, and so that's not how I work, and everybody will explore for themselves what's right for them through my work. So maybe it is doing something like that, a mini retreat, whether that's in person, my one's online. Maybe it's just taking a little bit of time. I know for me, in the morning before I do anything, I have half an hour with my coffee. I pick my divination cards. I pick a card out for my day for a bit of guidance. I might do a bit of journaling. I might do a bit of abundance work, or writing out what I would like to invite and experience instead of my goals. But if your goals works for you, something like that might work. Any focuses for the day, maybe a little bit of space for meditation. I like to connect through meditation in the morning. So maybe it's something like that, where you're just taking that time out to connect and feel good. And that could be self-care. Nextly, adopt healthy boundaries. So this is where you know what's important to you, and that might come with time. I think if I'd have found out about healthy boundaries very early on in my journey, I might have been a bit overwhelmed by it. So if you are early in your journey and any of this overwhelms you, it's totally fine. Maybe you can come back to it. You will get what you need from this video. Your brain and your mind and your body and your energy will just take what it needs, and that's totally fine. In fact, it's better than fine. It's perfect. But boundaries around your time, are you giving too much time to people who drain you? Are you spending too much time doing things that don't light you up, or whatever? And having that boundary about time. Maybe you want to be in bed earlier, but you don't have that healthy time boundary. Time around energy. This is huge, how you're spending and using your energy. That's something that I get wrong regularly, and then I notice my body starts to feel run down and tired, and I'm a projector, so that's a really important thing for me. So just noticing what gives you energy and what zaps your energy, and having a boundary around that, and where your energy goes and how you use it. Boundaries around money. What do you value? What do you want to invest in? How do you spend your money? How do you look after it? Maybe you have no boundaries there, like I used to. Maybe you have a few. Maybe you could adopt some more. Again, this is all really physical and energetic way of loving yourself, by just making sure you put these boundaries in because of what's important to you and what you value. And actually what might help you is making a list of what's important to you and what you value. And so section your life into different areas, like relationships, work and career, finances, body, physical health and body and stuff, and then spirituality maybe. And then from those, list what's important to you and what you value. And then you can maybe start building in some boundaries around that. And when you think about this, you might find that you already have some good boundaries that really serve you. And unfortunately, we don't learn the boundary until we realize the limit. And what I mean by that is we get it wrong first. So we go too far and something happens. It might be uncomfortable. We might have a challenge. And from that, we learn, okay, there's my boundary. I'm not going there again. You might have boundaries around your health, food, how you use your physical body, exercise, etc. Sex, that's an important one. I coach many women who we are unconsciously programmed to think, oh, sex means love, and therefore I should, because when we're intimate, it means he loves me, or it means that I'm loved. And no, have healthy boundaries around what you want sexually, how you want to express yourself sexually, and what, when you might only do it when you feel like it, not because you should, etc. And having healthy boundaries around that. I know that that's something that I lacked in the past as well, and had to learn, like everything. And then your environment. So this might be a boundary around who you spend time with. It might be a boundary around where you go. I know that I have a lot of open centers and undefined centers, and I can be quite sensitive to environment. So I don't really like going to certain clubs and bars very often. And I would have a boundary around if I went in somewhere and the energy didn't feel good, I would have a boundary around, no, this isn't for me, let's go somewhere else. Yeah. So it's just protecting yourself like that around your environment and having boundaries there. And then lastly, my final tip, which is a huge one, and it might not come that naturally to you at first, and there might need to be some inner work done first, etc. But I want you to practice acknowledging yourself. So validating yourself, starting to bring in vocabulary like, I'm proud of you. Thank you for showing up. I love you. You matter to me. And things like that, because saying those to yourself, another part of you needs to hear that. And when you do, it will start to feel loved and it will start to heal. And the more you do it, the more you'll start to build a habit around this, and the more love for yourself you will feel, and the more loved you'll feel as well. And then, as we know, that starts to radiate out in our environment as well. So when you feel loved and safe and protected from within, you protect yourself around you, but in healthy ways. You can be open and vulnerable without fear of being hurt and it meaning something about you. You can show up as your authentic self, and you can allow yourself, well, it's not really allowing yourself, you're just able to see and experience more of the love that's there for you from around you as well. When we're stuck in our conditioning and our old stories and our unworthiness, even when there's so much love for us there, we don't see it or experience it because the stories and the conditioning cloud it. And so it just like lifts the veil and changes your perception as well. It is truly magical. So thank you for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please reach out. There's details below for the retreat if that sounds like something you'd like to do, or maybe you would like to have a free coaching session with me and just see if working with me is a fit for you, and start to go within and start to do some of the deep work so that you can live a magical life and be your best self and start to know more of who you are, because you are truly wonderful. And I can't wait to meet you. And if I don't meet you, then I wish you the best as well. And thank you so much for watching.